Visualcapitalist.com has ranked the most unaffordable cities in the world. San Diego ranks 7.3, London an 8.2, Sydney 11.0, and in second place there's Vancouver at 11.9. But that's nothing compared to the top spot. At 20.8, Hong Kong ranks number 1 as the most unaffordable city on the planet. And it's where you will find the Peak. This neighborhood is hands down the most unaffordable place to live. The mansions are exuberant, the apartments lavish. And don't even get us started on all the billionaires and millionaires that live here. Today we take a look at the Peak and why it's so pricey. So, how does one determine how unaffordable a city is to live in? It's actually quite simple. By taking statistics from Demographia, an affordability score is assigned to a city by calculating the average housing price and dividing it by the average household income. With a score of 20.8, Hong Kong easily leaves all other cities in the world looking like the deals of the century, due to it clearly being the most unaffordable city in the world. And to make that stat even more impressive, get this. This list of costly cities was composed of 309 entrants, spanning 8 countries. Fun fact, according to this list, any city that scored over a 5.1 is considered severely unaffordable. Man, city living ain't cheap, is it? It must come as no surprise then that the most unaffordable neighborhood overlooks Hong Kong. This is the Peak, named after Victoria Peak, which is the highest point on Hong Kong Island, with an elevation of 1,811 feet. This lovely area is the home to the elite of the elite. Business magnates, bankers, celebrities, millionaires, and of course, billionaires, all call the Peak their home. Or at least, they call it one of their homes. Recently, these 1%ers have been scooping up apartments, mansions, and particularly pricey plots of land as vacation destinations. And since this area has quite a bit less population than the rest of Hong Kong, who can blame them? So, who exactly is moving in? Check out this list of notable neighbors. Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba and worth $55 billion, was rumored to have purchased a home in 2015 for 191 million big ones. Tsai Leung, who served as Hong Kong's chief executive from 2012 to 2017 and worth an estimated 40 million bucks, moved into this house that features multiple towers and even a greenhouse. Chen Hongtian, who's the chairman of real estate development at firm Chun Kai Group, decided he wanted a 9,212 square foot mansion for $270 million. Chen actually went on record speaking about the house. He was quoted as saying, "It's not for speculation. You can hardly make any profit from properties like this." Hey, well, we hear you, Mr. Hongtian. We bet you make your profit from the apartment building that you own in the Peak. That's right. Designed by architect Frank Gehry. The apartments here aren't for the faint of heart or wallet. Located at Opus Hong Kong, the last available unit was sold in 2015 for $66 million. But what about the homes? Just what can you expect when you are hunting for that new house in the Peak? Well, the most popular walking path in the area is hands down Circle Walk. And this is where you will see some of the most luxurious mansions available. But don't worry, these homes keep their privacy, due to them being far enough away from the walking path that tourists won't trespass. Normally, a luxury home in Hong Kong will go for $4.9 million. But if you want one of these top-notch mansions right in the city, expect to pay upwards of $40 to $100 million. Or even more. A bit out of your price range? Maybe you should look at owning an apartment. But we should warn you, you'll still need to be a millionaire to afford one. Apartments range from $5 to $13 million. The most expensive apartment though? That record keeps being broken again and again as time goes on. It originally went to a unit located at 12 Peaks. It sold for a colossal $105 million in 2015. But then in December 2018, the record was broken when a buyer spent $150 million on 2 apartments. And then that record was broken in February 2019 when an anonymous buyer spent $180 million on an apartment complete with elevator and a swimming pool. It's prices like these that have made some of the streets within the Peak's borders contenders for the most expensive street in the world. In fact, Pollock's Path, Barker Road, and Severn Road have all at one time or another taken the top spot as most expensive street. Well, now that you got an idea of what kind of homes are located here in the Peak, what is there to do in the area? The highlight of this neighborhood has to be Victoria Peak. Travel up to the summit either by hiking, by taking the Peak tram, or by taxi, whatever suits you best, and you'll be standing in one of the top tourist destinations in all of Hong Kong. At the top, there's the Peak Galleria. It's a mega mall that will suit all of your standard tourist needs. After all, right at the top of the tramway, you'll see not only a souvenir shop, but a Madame Tussauds. Hopefully, you aren't scared of wax statues. The entirety of this neighborhood is considerably cooler and a bit more green than the hustle and bustle of downtown Hong Kong. If you move to the Peak, expect windy roads, tons of trees, and spectacular views. In fact, the weather here is much cooler than the surrounding areas. One journalist at Business Insider even went so far as to call the Peak a mashup of Central Park and Beverly Hills. Now, we can't talk about the Peak without discussing the plethora of security measures that are located here. Barbed wire fences are common sight, and they make sure that unwanted intruders have a tough time coming onto the properties. Guardhouses are located at every apartment complex, and you can bet that inside you'll find some of the top security officers that Hong Kong has to offer. The houses here are specifically designed to be far away from the main road and behind giant steel gates. Zachary Wright, a senior vice president at Christie's International Real Estate, said it best when he stated, "Privacy and the view from the Peak make it sought after. There is a long winding road up to the Peak and many homes are hidden behind trees, which impart a sense of remoteness, even though this is a large and exclusive community in the hills." Yeah, the Peak really is something, and it's only getting more sought after. More and more business magnates have shown interest in the area, and they are speaking with their wallets. In 2016, $514 million worth of property was purchased in the neighborhood. What can we say? People want to live on the peak of civilization, right? Well, there you have it. The most expensive neighborhood on the planet. And from the looks of it, it doesn't look like the Peak will be leaving its top spot anytime soon. But before we go, we want to leave you with one final fact. How about the most affordable place to live in the world? Internationalliving.com ranks Vietnam at the top spot. Here you can expect to pay half of what you would pay to live in a city in the West. Hey, maybe some of those billionaires should buy up some land in Vietnam. They could own the whole neighborhood. We'll see you next time, right here on The Richest.